Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Bright Reality Media interview. Today we have Nancy Alcorn. She is a new friend of mine. This is actually the first time we've seen each other face to face, so I'm really looking forward to meeting her and hearing her story about her relationship with Adidas Samraj. So, Nancy, hi, welcome.
Hi.
It's good to have you here. Nancy, I can already obviously tell how you're feeling about this.
I cry really easily. I can't help it.
Good, good. Yeah, feel free to cry and express yourself however you feel moved to.
I also have Parkinson's, so I shake. And if I get really emotionally involved, boy, do I shake more. So if you see me shaking and crying, now you know.
That's totally okay. We appreciate you spending the time with us and sharing. Nancy, would you like to just go ahead and start by telling folks how you first became a devotee of Adida?
Yeah. Okay. I came in way back in 72, in June of 72. And I came right out of being a hippie in San Francisco, Haight Ashbury, which is good times. And while I was having my good times as a hippie, I read 3 books: Autobiography of a Yogi. No, let's see. Be Here Now by Ram Dass. And I said to myself, I understand all that. It's my first introduction to Eastern philosophy, Eastern religion. It all made total sense. The book by Alan Watts, which is kind of over my head, barely grasped it, but I knew it was worthy. And then Siddhartha by is Herman Hesse or Herman Hesse?
Herman
Herman
Hesse,
Hesse.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I read that one and I went, I think what you need is a guru. Then, um, after being a hippie, I moved to LA and landed at my parents' house while I got myself together for my hippie land. And was driving down the street in LA, Hollywood, um, Melrose Avenue. And there was this bookstore that had these 2 huge posters of this man. And they were attractive posters. They were interesting. It was mostly just his picture, nothing more. These 2 big posters, and I thought, well, I'll stop and see what's going on in there. So I walked in, and there was a bookstore, and it had that ampersand, that big 4 foot tall structure. I guess Beloved had found somewhere and brought in, and all these books. I was very, very unrelational as a personality, very contracted, egoically, very withheld, very, very defended and protected, not open. And there was these 2 guys that were working the bookstore that evening, and I couldn't even look at them. But something about that place was interesting and attractive. And I didn't want to leave and I didn't want to relate, but I wanted to be there. So I pretended to be fascinated with the books. I wasn't. And I was walking around reading the spines of all the books. Had to do something. Well, they were talking to me and I had my back to them. And they just chat. There was a curtain, not a door. There was a curtain that I knew went into a larger room. All the books were in the front. And I was intrigued. There was something going on there. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't intrigued enough to come back. I was just intrigued enough to know there's something special happening in that building. But I'd had enough chatting with the guys with my back to them. So I went And Melrose is a busy street, and there's no crosswalks where this store was, the storefront. And it was summer, and I got in my car and I had the windows rolled down, VW Bug, and I'm getting ready to turn the ignition on and leave, and somebody taps me on this shoulder, which is the shoulder that's available when you're driving. It's the left shoulder that's sitting by the car window. And I turn and look, it's one of the guys, and his eyes are really bright blue. And he said, "You really should come and see Franklin tomorrow. He's sitting in satsang." And I thought, if this guy cared enough about me to go across that street and give me a personal invite, I guess I'll show up. So I did. And it was amazing. There were maybe 25 or 30 people sitting in that room on the floor. And there's a little dais. And Franklin Jones was sitting on this little raised kind of platform in this chair. And he had tears running down his face. And he looked at everybody and he closed his eyes. And the tears started running again. And I thought, wow, what's going on in here? Everybody's really quiet. And then when it was over, I got up and left. And I was attracted, but I was also pulled away. So I did that 2 more times. And the time number 2, time number 3, I was late because I was so conflicted about whether I really wanted to get in my car and really drive out there. It's about 45 minutes to LA. Did I really want to? Did I really want to? And I'd sit in the kitchen looking at the kitchen clock. Should I go? Should I not? Should I go? And finally I would decide, too late, of course, to be on time, to go. So I would go, the front door's locked, go into the back, the little office, and his desk was there. And I would put my shoes under the desk, their sandals, so that they were out of the way. Nobody would trip on them. And then there was a curtain in the middle of that little small room going into the main sitting room. And that's where he was right in front of. So I didn't use that curtain. There's one against the wall. And I would ease the curtain open and slide myself in there just enough to get in the room and sit down. So I would get in and late. Late was not cool. Nobody told me it was not cool. I knew it was not cool, but I was late. And the second time that I did that, when I came back to get my slippers, shoes, which were under his desk, he was sitting in the desk already. And I needed my shoes so I could leave. But he was sitting there and he was blocking me from getting my shoes. They're on the floor under his desk. So he was sitting, like a guy does, legs kind of spread, enough space so I could put my forearm on his legs, between his knees and his hips. I just braced myself because I had to get my shoes, but I'd never spoken to him. And for me, who's so withheld from intimacy or connection or having anything to do with another human being, it was atypical. But I reached back underneath there and I said, "Excuse me, I need to get my shoes." And then I said, I'm sorry I was late. I'm pulled towards you and I'm pulled away from you." And he said, with more love than I have ever received, ever, up to that point in my lifetime, I was 27. He said, "As long as you come." And I knew I was going to cry. And I didn't want to be vulnerable in front of him or anybody else. So I got out of there as quick as I could and went down the alley to my car and cried in the alley. And that was my first contact with.
Wow, that's remarkable. What was pulling you away that you were feeling?
Intimacy, vulnerability. openness. None of that. I had been abused as a kid, and I had closed down thoroughly to protect myself. And I wasn't really interested in opening up. But I
What?
knew right away he was God. It was obvious to me he was the divine Lord.
Mm. So when did you come back to see him the next time?
Well, I had already gotten hooked by him. He hooked me. That was it. As long as you come back. So I started coming to Darshan regularly. Yeah. But there was two huge, massive pictures of Ramana Maharshi and Bhagavan Nityananda. And they were like big, and they were sitting on huge, big bookshelf things, narrow but tall. And I would tuck myself behind Nityananda and lean against the wall. And periodically, not often, would stick my head out and see what Beloved was up to. And one time when I stuck my head out, he caught me sticking my head out. I mean, I was a real skittish little thing. He liked to give hugs back in the day. And he would get you into one of those hugs, which were delightful, just delightful. And I would pull away and pull away and pull away and pull away until I just couldn't pull away from this loveliness. And then I would like let go, move forward and let go. Hugs over. As soon as I surrendered,
Mm.
hugs over. Yeah. So that's how he was working with me.
Were you at this time taking on any disciplines, or were there any?
Oh, yeah. No, there was no disciplines. And then all of a sudden, they started coming down. I think the first one was no meat.
How
And
are
then
they?
there was,
How are they being communicated?
oh, we would all come in and somebody would have notes. He wouldn't say it to us
Mm.
because we were all psychically and energetically going, oh, hello. No, there would be notes. Franklin would like to deliver some notes to you. Somebody would read them. We'd all go, oh, God.
Is that something that you expected at all?
No. First, he hooks you with love. And then you go, all right, what is this all about now? Oh, I have disciplines. Oh, all right. There has to be disciplines. He has to work with the ego. Believe me, we were raw egos back
Mm.
in the day. Yeah.
So how did that unfold as you were getting disciplines and the formalities started?
I don't remember which the
You
discipline was, but I had a little writing pad and a pen. And I was so annoyed, I threw my pen with disgust on the carpet. Wow! Because of whatever discipline had just come down. I don't know what it was. Can you imagine taking such raw people and turning them around and turning them into devotees? It's a process.
yeah.
Yeah.
So did you start following the disciplines?
Yeah.
And how did your relationship with Adida and your involvement in the community progress over time in those early years?
It was slow going. I'm not a very ripe devotee. It's That's one of the things that I want to share. You know, where I was at when I came in, where I was at when I want to share the sitting, the transmission sitting, and really kind of where I'm at today. I mean, I've learned a bunch, but so what? I'm also 76. And going to croak and have only been able to say, well, I knew the Divine Lord this lifetime and I learned a bunch. Because the ego has perception. We perceive this place from the egoic patterning. And it's not even real. It's not even true. It's not even actually what's going on. But that's how I relate to this place. So I am moving from the position of my gurus and my position, which is the one of the ego. And I slide back and forth between the two different ways of perceiving this place.
Right.
Yeah.
And in all those years from 72 to the mid 90s, the time that you're going to share the story was, were you a formal devotee this whole time, or are you spending time as physical company?
No, I was not one of those folks that I had kids, raising kids. I was raising kids as a single parent who didn't have real ability to earn money. So I was house cleaning and just trying to keep going. I had 2 guys that were helping me out financially. It took 2 guys to help me out financially to keep it going. So to have the free attention to be closer to him circumstantially, I didn't have.
So in 95, you were on this retreat. This was a retreat in his company?
No, this was not retreat. I lived 2 hours from the Mountain of Attention.
Okay.
And he had written, given the Hridaya Rosary, 4 thorns, huge monumental shift. He gave his teaching over time when we were mature enough to receive the next piece.
Mm-hmm.
And this piece was delicious and I wanted it. But right there is the problem, or one of the things that I did that is a problem. You can't want something. It's given by grace. It's a gift. But he's very, sometimes in his writing, which is prolific, very poetic. And this writing struck me deeply in the heart. And I thought, dang, that's what I've been waiting for. That right there. I'll take that transmission. Transmission sitting at the Mountain of Attention. Sign me up. I'm going.
So this was when you say transmission sitting, what was the nature of that occasion or event? What was the circumstance?
Well, I think before I get rolling on that lovely, how can I even say it? That lovely thing that happened, that gift to all the world, that Hridaya Rosary, we better tell the folks watching this. Some of the, I want to open the door to people that are non-devotees so they have some sense of what our reality is, because our reality is unique. And the offering he gives is extraordinary. And we know it and we enjoy it. Anybody who's watching this, when I say Hridaya Rosary, is going to go right over the top of their head. So I had 2 readings I picked out. If you would read the very first one in book 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. It's only 1 paragraph.
I believe you said it's on page 10.
Yeah.
And this is verse 38.
Yeah.
Verse 38. Okay, this is from a book called The Aletheon. It's how many? 7 volumes.
8.
It's 8 volumes. It's a very it's kind of like the subtitle of it is The Divine Avataric Self-Revelation of His Divine Presence, Avatar Adidas Samraj. It is kind of like the final version of his teaching and a lot of the essays that he had written over the course of his of his life, and it's the most pristine Dharma really that I've ever read. So for those who aren't formal devotees, the Adida has written so many books. Like Nancy said, he's unbelievably prolific as a writer, and the main kind of canon now in Adidam is there's the Aletheon, and there's the Dawn Horse Testament, which is another incredible work, which is being worked on right now as the newer version, and essays are being added to it. There's many other books, of course. You can go to Dawn Horse Press, look at the Dawn Horse Press. That's the official publishing company of Adidam for all those completely transcendent books. It's the most full spiritual canon in the history of the world. It's I think there was a scholar, Jeffrey Kripal, who called it the most doctrinally thorough spiritual teaching that's ever been written. So this is just a short paragraph from the very beginning of the Aletheon, from the divine avataric self-disclosure. Such faithless beings constantly refuse and fail to be distracted by me because they are entirely distracted by themselves. They are like Narcissus, the myth of ego at his pond. They are merely self-reflecting minds, or like a mirror in a dead man's hand. Their tiny hearts are like a boundless desert, where the mirage of separate self is ceaselessly admired, and the true water of my constant transcendental spiritual presence stands unnoticed in the droughty heap and countless sands of ceaseless thoughts. If only they would unthink themselves in me, these now faithless little hearts could have immediate access to the true water of my true heart. Through devotional turning of body, emotion, mind, breath, and all of separate self to me, even Narcissus could find the way to my oasis in the true heart's room and house. But no, and yet the thinking mind of ego I is never bathed in light. And so it sits unwashed like a desert dog that wanders in a herd of flies.
That's so fabulous. I definitely was a desert dog, unwashed. And you'll see that reference in the Hridaya Rosary. So this is the turning point or the pivot for the devotees, because Beloved is a transmission master, and he's been out of the body since '08, and it doesn't make any difference at all. And because he is a transmission master, he's putting out whatever he's putting out, he's putting it out. And you can tune into it, but he has given us a specific way to do that. So it's turning the four faculties: the body, the emotions, the feeling, the attention, the breath. And you have to do that. If you can line yourself up with him, he'll work with you easier. He asks us to do that. It facilitates it. So that's one part that's important. Now, would you read the second essay?
Yeah, of course.
This is from the Hridaya Rosary.
1 second. Let me find which.
This is all in poetry form, but he's about to read. Have you got it?
Yeah, I'm looking, narrowing down. Got
Well, I got
1096 through 10 through,
2 pages.
okay. Ending at my imperishable. Okay, gotcha.
Sweet. All right.
All right. So this is from Hridaya Rosary as published in the Aletheon. This is from the third thorn of the four thorns. The process associated with a four-part exercise, right, true, and full, of whole bodily response of the ego transcending devotion to me. I wash the garden dog from head to tail. How else? But seekers think the other way round. I wash the garden dog from head to tail, but I eat it all at once. Therefore, come running, here and now, to me, not for a bone or a bite and run, but for the eternal love of me. Recognize me by shape and voice. Come running to me by name. Come running to my call to life with love of me on fire. Take refuge in my bath and balm and melt to centerless and boundless contentment under my gentling hand and darling foot. Listen to me, hear me, see me, accept my bright gift of perfectly egoless conscious light and of divine transcendental spiritual love bliss. Until my outshining brightness opens the eyes in my room, you are the body, attention, heart, and breath. Give these in me from your side of the fence, and I from my side will always call and greet you, heart to heart, until the gate flies open, and with tears that melt the running ground, all difference washed by wideness alone, we speak in love forever in my imperishable domain.
Yeah. Oh boy. So when I heard that, and I knew it was a garden dog, oh for sure, and definitely unwashed, I thought, oh, if he's offering that transmission sitting for Hridaya Rosary, I'm coming. Coming up to the Mountain of Tension is a 2-hour drive. I'm definitely coming up that weekend. And I got myself on the list, got myself in the room, and I really wanted to receive it. But the egoic positioning is the wanting. It's all offered by grace. You don't tug on the divine Lord and say, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. You don't do that. And that was a mistake. That was a real error on my part. But I didn't know better. I'm a little slow and I hadn't quite gotten the picture. You don't say, this is what I'd like, and put it like on a pink slip of paper and turn it into the whatever those corporate things are where you get requisitioned what you're looking for. You don't do that. But that was my position that I had taken when I was getting ready to go into that sitting. Let's see.
What was the nature of the circumstance? How did this communication go out about this sitting?
Well, it was just, I forget what system of community, that was in 95. I don't remember how it was communicated, but everybody knew that he had just written Hridaya Rosary. We'd all read it. And he was offering a transmission where he was going to transmit the Hridaya Rosary reality to the people that got in that room, and I wanted to get in there. So I knew enough back in the day to know I should turn to him. I had heard the request many times, and it was not fully incarnated into my body with the finesse that I currently have. It was a little raw and a little ragged. And I knew that I should turn to him. But I didn't trust my ability to do it because I was a little raw, a little ragged. So when I got in there, I started yelling at myself in my mind. Take a deep breath. Relax. Say his name. Da, da, da. Relax. Calm down. Take a deep breath. It was not exactly turning the faculties, but it's the best I could do. And as a personality, I'm ascended. So back in the early days, there was a lot of movements of energy in the body, a lot of, they're called kriyas, a lot of shakti. And I would close my eyes and go with it. I liked it. And I had not gotten the memo from 1972 to 95. That's a long time to keep your eyes open and keep your eyes gazing at beloved. Do not disappear into the ascended realms. I hadn't gotten that quite yet. I'm a little slow. So I'm sitting there with my eyes closed naturally, doing what I preferred to do, trying to calm down so I could receive what he had to offer. Not doing a really good job of it. And somewhere, some woman started moaning in pleasure. It's like, dang, she obviously is getting it, and I'm not. And she annoyed me, and I wish she would just hush because I'm trying to concentrate here. It was really frustrating to me. I copped an attitude to that poor lady that was receiving him. And
Were
then
there a lot of people in the hall?
I was packed. It was in his house. And then I realized that the voice I could hear was familiar. It was me. And I calmed down then and realized I was moaning in bliss. And I realized I was floating in water. It was bobbing. And it was like, dang. I don't know how long it lasted. I don't know how long I was floating and bobbing in bliss, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And then the sitting was over. So I had gotten my gift. I was in no shape to get my gift. He gave it to me anyway, out of compassion. That was in 95. Now it's 2021. I'm just going, oh, I think I see how this process works. I think I get it. I better read that Aletheon clear through because that's a good book. That's where I'm at today, just now. Oh my God.
And what have you what have you gotten what have you gotten from then to now about the practice?
it's really, it's very humbling. I can't help it. It's very slow. It's taken me a long, long time to shift my orientation from the egoic perception of this place to his offering. And that's all I can say is I feel like I'm ready to start. And many, many people, the devotees that came in the early days were as ripe as I am right now. It took me 50 years to get here. They
Hmm.
were ready, and I wasn't. And that's just how it is. So I will be back.
What what do you feel like you are able to respond to now? In your experience, what is his Adidas gift and offering?
Ooh, let me get some water. That's a deep question. Um,
How is it different for someone who doesn't have any um, experience with this kind of thing? What is the difference between your anyone's ordinary existence and Adidas state that you're responding to?
what is the difference between an ordinary personality's existence of someone who doesn't know anything about spiritual life and what Adida is offering?
No, I mean just the what is what is the difference between your normal state you're identifying like everyone
Oh,
with
day to day.
separate self and versus what is that offering, that transmission, that's Adidas state that you're responding to. And
If I stay with him when I go, oh God, it's a fascinating question. It's fascinating. I know my personality, it's my pattern, who I am as character, and I recently moved out of a really challenging environment and it took me 4 months to heal.
hmm,
And I was flattened. While I was flattened and had no juice at all, I was easily able to sit in meditation and grant him, turn the four faculties, grant my attention, because I didn't have any juice to run my patterning. Well, I finally healed up. It was a 6 year process and fired up intensely by my living situation, which was the last 3 years. Once I healed up and became who I am as a personality, then I would sit in the meditation hall and run my pattern, which is to think entrepreneur type of personality, been given a idea to earn some money. So that's what I'm thinking about when I'm sitting in the hall. But when I was flattened by circumstance, I was able to turn my attention to him easily. I didn't have a juice, so I could easily give it to him. When you are able to do that, he is a spherical. I hardly know how to speak about it because it's not my experience very often, but he is consciousness and light. And it's literally something that I was aware I would pop into his sphere when I gave him my attention. And it was lovely. No thought, quiet, sublime, lovely. I haven't seen it since I started getting my entrepreneur game back. I'm sitting in the hall thinking, oh my goodness.
when you say you weren't ripe then and then you're feeling more ripe now, what does that mean?
Available. I'm just now up to the speed of the people that came in 50 years ago, like your friend Nishi. Just now, even comprehending what the teaching is so that it's accessible to me. Just now.
What do you think led to that availability?
Well, I told you I was mashed,
That
circumstantially,
that circumstance, okay.
run over by life without any energy or impulse to animate this person that I am. And when I healed up, the person that I am sprang back, even though I'm quite aware that it'd be better off if I could stay in Beloved's house. He calls it his house. If I could stay in his house where it's sublime.
What is the difference between what you're feeling now and your availability and recognition of who Adida is versus you've been a devotee for a long time. What was your way of relating to Adida and his offering then?
Back in the day,
Yeah.
I was pretty caught up in karmic stuff, struggling to earn a living, struggling to raise kids. And that it took some time for sure.
Well, what's next for you, Nancy?
Read the Alethean front to back. I mean, I study every day, but I was keeping the Alethean for something special. Well, something special to get ready to share this with everybody required that I get into the Alethean. And when I got in there, I went, oh my God, there's some good stuff in here. So I realized it's time to read all those books. See, I got them right here. Time to get into those puppies.
And when you're, what were you feeling when you were crying while I was reciting that?
Oh, it's so profound. His offering is so profound. And we're so blessed to be on the recipient end of it. I'm not even really lined up yet so that he can do that. What he is actually offering, the Hridaya Rosary, is not about putting somebody in water and bobbing around in bliss, which was lovely, by the way. He comes down like a husband into a wife, down the throat, down the head, down the body, and invades you. Oh my God. Can you imagine having God invading your body? That sound good? Sounds good to me. That sounds like some good shit. I want some of that. But whether I am fortunate enough this lifetime or not, I don't know. But that initiates you into the next level of practice because he does something called the thumbs when he comes down in the throat. And it shifts you orientation of this place. You rotate forward, he says, and then you're in another perception of this place. It sounds lovely to me. Lovely. Lovely. I'll sign up for that.
What do you think that with this kind of recent insight, what do you think it takes for you or anyone else to get to the point of,
Oh, that's such a good question.
you know,
One, you better do what your guru asks. If he says do these disciplines, you damn well better do them and not shortchange him and think it's going to slide. It's not going to slide.
yeah,
But you've got these disciplines and they're hefty, and it's for a reason. We have this orientation as places, egos, egoic personalities and perceptions. The whole thing is not true or real. It's not real, but we live as if it is. So if you want him to work with you, give you the esoteric, juicy stuff, you better step out of the ego game. What are the disciplines for? Step you out of the ego game. Does the ego want to step out of the ego game? Hell no, it's the end of the ego. It's a little difficult.
yeah.
I'm not stating. Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to share about your relationship with Adida?
I think he squeezed it all out of me.
Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, Nancy.
You too. Take care. Bye. Bye.